When starting a test-related project for an organization, one of the early questions that's often asked is, how many parts are we going to need for this test? And it's a logical question because they need to know the schedule and the budget expectations. However, it's important to realize that it's more than just a numbers game. It's not just math. There's a lot of calculators out there for determining that answer, and they can give wildly different numbers. So you need to do some math, and I'll do that. But you also need to balance it with experience and in your history with the situation. Give you an example. I was working with a client a few years ago and went through the math, and we determined on the order of 10 to 15 parts is probably what we're going to need. So I told the client, I said, throw away that idea and what we just talked about. Now answer the question, what's your client going to believe? What's your end customer going to believe? Very quickly they came back with, well, they're not going to believe anything less than 50, which ended up to be true. And I said, well, what's the cost impact of going from 15 to 50? Their answer was, these are polyethylene parts, pennies a piece, no big deal. I said, I would rather do what they're going to be comfortable with than argue math. So there's kind of a balance between the math and expectations and experience. If there's too big of a disconnect in a cost impact, we may have a different discussion to try and fine-tune it better. But ultimately, you only know you're right when you've done your work, you've released it, and it comes back without any surprises, at least not any big ones. And so that's really the true test. So I asked another client recently, after having gone through that same process, I asked them finally the question of, have you had any recalls recently? And they went about white as a sheet, and they said, well, actually just yesterday, on the same product with similar features. I said, well, then we're going to have to increase sample size because any other story just isn't going to make sense. And we did the math, and we did some things to help determine what that new number should be. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how we work with people to determine that very important parameter for your test. If we can be of service to you, give us a call and we'll help you through your project as well.